to the week's angst with the Doctor Who Detox Hour or two.
Well, we're back. The Aussie detoxers are back. I've even got my Wiggles shirt on, so to speak, just for the occasion. So, here's about time we got them back, isn't it? And boy, do we need a blast of therapy and detoxing after season 2 and its resolution. So, I have my toxic alert on standby in case Dan is troubled by any references to Peladon, or the panel accuse me of having carnal feelings for Adric, or Doug suddenly become shy or something like that, you know what I mean? Another show then to cue your chronic bout of cosmic catarrh with the Doctor Who Detox Hour. Lots of nostalgic goodies and gems today to soothe those special anomalies and anxieties. Looking at the legends of Omega, the Rani, Susan, before they were butchered by the present showrunner in cheap shot stories that didn't deliver, did they? Let's start our group therapy for Whovians. A detoxifying tonic before the weekend hits. So, let's just do a quick gentle reminder, as I usually do. I don't think I have actually really recovered since last night. I have to say, I think that was my favourite Sense for Your stream in the 18 months I've been going. With Disbrew, Joe and Sean, I just had an absolute blast. It was a scream, so check it out if you haven't seen it yet. And there is a moment of absolute ecstasy, and I'm choosing my words carefully, a moment of absolute ecstasy and hilarity, which you must watch to certainly make you forget any sadnesses or pains you might have accumulated. Every time I watch it, I laugh. It's got nothing to do with me. I just laugh. Their responses are amazing. It's very explosive. There you go. So please check that out. If you want a little laugh, it's only 2 minutes long. I've done you the biggest favours I could. And Toilet Roll is very relevant. Okay, so please do me a favor, watch it, repost it, tell a friend, and check you've liked and subscribed. Thank you if you have already, and thanks to the growing community we've got here. We had more naughtiness and cheek on Tuesday with the Children of Time, so if you want laughs and irreverence, we've been dishing it out in spades this week, has a sense for you. So you're in the right place, and of course, irreverence, detoxes, I think you're definitely in the right place now because they're full of trouble. So let's go to Tassie, and let's see Sirens of Audio and Dwayne. Hiya.
G'day, Brendan. It's good to be back now. How may I be of assistance to you in detoxing you from this last 8 weeks of misery?
Yes, I know. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to unpack. Now
I feel great.
But you've been hearing about it, haven't you? And that's what I mean. You've got the beauty of hearing the bits and the bobs.
It's far more entertaining than the torturous process of sitting through it, I can tell you.
Yeah, again and again. And of course, we'll put over Sydney way and let's see where Dan, what's he up to?
Hey, gang. I've been enjoying Horror Fang Rock this afternoon. I was inspired by your stream with Ryan's Routon. So I thought, I've got to check this thing out properly.
He sent me, I know it's on our Children of Time from a week ago, everybody, and you see Ruben the Routon, he calls it. And do you know what? He sent me a text about 2 days ago, did Ryan, and he was very excited. And I was trying to work out what it was, and he said he's just bought it. He owns it now. So he's in ecstasy, absolutely. It's an amazing thing. It looks like it's bigger than a lampshade thing, isn't it? It's like,
so yes. So he owns Oyster Face.
He does. So he's the man to go and see, and I'll be back to Belfast. I want to just I want to meet the Routon, get to know him. Okay then, and Yes, he's here. He wasn't at the last Who night, you know, he gets around, but he's back, up to mischief and trouble. Dougie.
Hello, it's lovely to be here.
Doug.
I thought we were all sacked, so it's nice to be here. I definitely need a detox after last week's travesty. Yes, I wasn't on the Who night. I was unwell, but I was saying to the guys, I think it's partly because I was emotionally shattered from watching that travesty, which I'm sure we'll talk about. So let's detox. I need it.
Well, Dougie was lovely. He sent me a super chat as well, and even though he's a panelist, and he was going on about the Wiggles, and of course Australia is there we go, and that's me when I was in a fun run, and I was one of the Wiggles there. There you go.
I love it. I love it.
I love
So
how
there you
Brendan
go.
keeps trying to prove that he's Australian.
Yeah,
That's it,
he's
you
not.
know,
He's
it's in my
not.
blood. So,
Wake up,
Photoshop.
Brendan.
so hello everybody who's just joined us. Farsight, Rain Parsons, David Harding in Toronto, Paul Mabley up the coast there, Sunderland Way, John Yulden, he'll be on his lunch break, Hasler Scott. I need to know where you all are. Divine and Dragon, our mate from Who Night, he's enjoying some chill time, so good to see you. And Adrian Sherlock, also down Aussie way. So, got lots to talk about. It's a bit of the old and the new. It always is with the detox, and that's why I've got my toxic alarm ready, just in case it goes too far. So, of course, where do we start? Well, I suppose we need to start near the beginning. And this is a free hit for you lads. I think it's important as a detox that you're allowed to just kind of lance the boil and just say whatever you need to say before I start heavily structuring it like a teacher. Did anyone know I was a teacher? I know it's been kept very quiet and hush hush. I've called it Weep or Laugh, as in Weeping Angel or Happiness Patrol. I mean, basically highs and lows of what you heard happened in season 2. So, what do you want to get off your chest, Rain?
Me? Well, I'm still getting over what I heard from the Robot Revolution, and I saw clips of the Doctor laughing at someone being reduced to a sperm and an egg, and then giving a high kick and yelling out "Queens" or something like that.
Yeah.
I just think I am laughing because I think it's funny in that it's tragic that the character of the Doctor has sunk so low to do something like that, and then he went on later to even do worse things throughout the season. So for someone full of joy, kindness, there's also a lot of sadistic tendencies in this Doctor, I hear.
Yeah, and from what you've heard, and you're correct, I've even got the evidence in front of me right there. So you've got the man who no longer existed, and the one I ended up having to do a show on because I was mortified. 60 seconds, and there's no exaggeration, of torturing that lad on the floor. Everything you go against as a parent and as a teacher when you're thinking there's a kid on the floor being beaten up, and basically this person continued, and that was our hero. And so I get your point, Dwayne, so I bet you are glad you haven't watched it. But you're also a parent, and you have watched Doctor Who with the kids over the time. Hearing what you've heard now, I mean, would you be almost, you and your wife, saying, hold on a minute, this is not for us?
Absolutely not. Because it's now gone from something that was some parents wouldn't let their kids watch Doctor Who because it was too scary, and it's not scary anymore. It's got all these other messages in there, but where's the scariness? In fact, just before I came on, I was watching with my kids World Enough and Time, and I think that is probably the last great scary Doctor Who episode. It was so scary. I remember the first time I saw it being scared as an adult, so I can only imagine what my kids thought, and I've just sent them to bed to have nightmares about that. But
Is that the one where Billy gets a hole blown in her?
that's the one.
Yep.
Yeah. And just in those dark rooms with all the half-formed Mondasian Cybermen, just
that was
really,
creepy.
really eerie stuff. So, you know, we don't get that kind of Doctor Who anymore. Certainly not in the clips, not in last season that I saw all of, and certainly not in the clips that I've seen from this season.
No, and I must admit, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I saw World Enough and Time just the other day, and wow. I had issues with it at the time, little issues, but looking at it now, wow, that is so dark. That's where I want Doctor Who to be. So I fully agree with what you were saying because it was quite pleasant to watch. I mean, that really is Doctor Who. Yes.
You know what I notice about those eras is that they're very rewatchable, and that's the thing that none of these recent seasons, even the ones that I've watched, I've had no interest in. I was kind of one of those fans that would watch the episode and just rewatch it through the week until the next one came out, until I'd kind of, done it to death. But the last few years, mate, I've had no interest in there's no rewatchability in a lot of this Who.
Now we did a stream, and obviously to bring us up to speed. I mean, you were watching at a certain point, then you checked out, and if my memory serves me right, it was the story.
Yeah, I'm the guy that checked out bloody 3 episodes before the end of the entire show's run. By the sound of it, anyway. I mean, this week's failure is complete. I think it's fair to say, and yeah, there's plenty of comments out there saying that RTD's managed to unite the fandom in their condemnation of this whole mess. And I have seen the last episode, and I'll admit I got sucked in a little bit when I heard about the new Rani, and I really liked the new Rani. But man, what the F? Like that last story. I mean, this is going to go down as the last episode. I bet RTD's begging, pleading for someone to give him at least an opportunity to make one last sign-off story if this is really the end, because like, what a way to leave the show. Just a disaster. I mean, if you think this is if this is the modern day equivalent of Survival, it's just not even comparable. I mean, they've left this with no class whatsoever. I mean, it's the genius of what the state they left Survival in when it wasn't even planned at the time is just remarkable compared to what this train wreck is.
Yeah. So obviously we get your responses on Who Night every week, Doug, but we didn't get your responses to the last one. So obviously you get a free hit here.
I was gutted. It was, you say weep or laugh. I was weeping for a couple of days, and now I'm just laughing at how stupid it was. The only positive is we get to see Billy Piper as the new Doctor. Bullshit. That was such a tacky little trick, and I can't believe people got upset at it. There's no way. For one thing, there is no way there's going to be a series 3, so I'm safe. There's no way I'm tap dancing down Rundle Mall. But this is. It was. You could see the joins. You could see the tacked on bit. And from what I can gather from your show, Brendan, there was meant to be an original final scene in a nightclub or something with Susan looking on ominously. And actually, I'm quite glad that didn't happen because that sounded worse. So yeah, I'm gutted. I've checked out now. I'm like Dan. I have for a while. I couldn't bring myself to watch any Doctor Who, but that's silly. That's like cutting off your nose to spite your face. But I will. I'm unsubscribing to Disney Plus as soon as I share it with my daughter. So I'm trying to get her to get off it so I can just stop paying the bill. There's no reason for me to ever watch this series ever again. It's horrible and unprofessional. Didn't make any sense. And I remember saying on one of the Who nights, I hope some of the stuff pays off, like the anger. I knew the Susan thing wouldn't pay off, but I thought maybe him getting gradually unhinged might have had a nice part about him, somewhere. But it didn't. It didn't.
Well, you see, I was thinking the other day when I was getting to know Joe, and I was talking to Joe, joined us on last night. And I said, do you know what? Thinking about it, if you're going to do something clever to get fans talking about Doctor Who, but you don't know who's the next Doctor, make that shot be Michael Jason's The Valeyard or something. Just get a shot of it. Or, I did say last night on the stream, they've said this thing about bookending Rose at the beginning of New Who to the end of New Who. That's the trick. Why don't you bookend the Doctor? William Hartnell, get a lovely AI CGI shot, and it can be explained later on, because let's face it, RTD has not got an explanation as to why Billy Piper's back. So basically, make it William Hartnell.
Mate, what they should have done if they had a sense of class or decency about them is they should have taken Andrew Cartmell's sign off that he got the voiceover script that they did. He could have set it up that Shooty and Millie Gibson went off together after they put Belinda at home, and they could have done the survival speech and really just buttoned it up and said, left the series with some sort of, I don't know, I suppose symmetry with the classic era. And just sort of acknowledge that this is the end, because this is just going to get left in the never for years now. I mean, there's no way, there is no credible way that that production team should be given any money to make any more Doctor Who.
Totally agree.
Because Doug was mentioning it then, and I think this is the costume Caroline Ford was in for the shots that you no longer will see. Yeah. And I think you will no longer see ever, because obviously it's completely changed the plot. So basically, she's. I mean, I don't like this, but the fact that RTD could write out this scene where Susan reappeared, the original companion, when she reappeared, he's written it out because it was so inconsequential, and that's the blooming point. That's the rudeness. But you mentioned, Doug, the plot that was going to happen. So he, in essence, it says, there's been hints of Susan coming back. Well, yeah, for 2 blooming seasons. Now, so the surprise appearance by Susan and the mother-daughter reveal didn't make it to the final version. Instead, the show focused on giving closure to Poppy's arc. While fans didn't get that cliffhanger moment, it sounds like it was a creative choice made to keep the story tight and respectful to the characters. The original version of the ending, Susan would show up during the party scene that the Doctor and the others were attending. She would have been wearing a grey trench coat, similar to her look in 5 Doctors. But the real twist was that she wouldn't be alone. She was going to be standing beside Poppy. Then, just before the credits rolled, Susan would turn to Poppy and say, "Let's go, Mum." That line would have revealed something big about their connection and set up a major storyline for season 3. And so I, for one, say hallelujah. I am so glad that's not happening.
Me too. That sucks.
Small mercies that wasn't.
However, as bad as that is, can I just say that if we're going to bookend it with a companion, well, then that would have been the perfect companion to bookend the entire 62-year run with. Yeah. With Carol Ann Ford being in the beginning and the end, I think that would have been better. Whatever storyline would have gone along with it, I don't think anything he's done has proven to be any good in recent years. But yeah, I would much rather have had Carol Ann Ford in the final scene than Billie Piper. That's for sure.
She was wasted. She was wasted totally. In fact, I look forward to, Dwayne, when you bring her out. I'll have to save my pennies and go to either Melbourne or Sydney, because I would love to hear her thoughts on her disappointment, maybe, or because I saw it in Unleashed that she was really chuffed to be back, and I thought that was lovely. But they totally wasted her, and it's a little bit sad and a missed opportunity, because she's not, she's cracking on a bit. It's not going to happen again.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Billie Piper, I showed in my stream last night because I found evidence where she does say yes. She obviously likes Bad Wolf and has a good relationship with him. So yes, I'll come back. After Stolen Earth, she agreed to do 4 more episodes, but that didn't turn out because he got Catherine Tate. She's happy to come back. Day of the Doctor, she came back. So basically, Billie Piper is always going to work well with RTD, Julie Gardner, Jane Tranter. But a bit like David Tennant coming back for the specials, it's the law of diminishing returns. It doesn't have it just doesn't have the drama anymore.
No, I didn't care.
They were still pulling $5 million on those David Tennant specials, and I didn't hit the Shooty era. It wasn't till Space Babies that I realized we were in big trouble.
Same.
That was
Tennant was getting over 7 million consolidated, and Shooty instantly went down to 4 consolidated.
Yeah, exactly.
Even with the Christmas special, and then it just got worse after that.
Mm-hmm.
So It was
I
for
think
anyone that says, "Oh, you can't look at ratings, you can't." Yeah, television's viewed differently. Well, it hasn't changed that much in the last 18 months, I say.
No,
So just look at
exactly.
what happened between the 60th anniversary specials and the next season.
Exactly.
That's not that long ago, and television hasn't changed that
No.
much since then.
No.
Well,
No.
the ratings were proving that, Dwayne, as well. That, I mean, every time Doctor Who was coming on in the last 3 months, 1 million people were turning off instantly. Each episode, they had more people watching the news, and I mean, it's pretty embarrassing.
I'm just trying to keep. I'm just keeping up with you, lads. Don't worry. So I'm flicking through.
No,
But
that's all right.
that's basically in essence from Day of the Doctor to now, and you can see how the ratings generally are in decline. So it's not we're not kicking in Shooty, we're not kicking in Geordie, we're not kicking in Chibnall, we're not kicking in RTD. It's a long-term trend that whoever you are, they fail to address. But I think complicit in that is maybe the agenda, which has been going on in Doctor Who for quite a long time now. We had the gender fluidity of the Time Lords way back in Hellbent. It's been going on a while.
Yeah.
And I personally think, I mean, I can't give evidence, but I think that's partly one of the things that's become problematic. And I do think New Who is a tired beast. I think New Who is a little bit too driven by formula, and too driven by wham bam, thank you, ma'am. It's a 45-minute episode of 2 or 3 amazingly emotional sequences that he's thought about, but the rest is stitched together with, sticky back plastic. I mean, it's just...
I'd like to see on paper what the formula looks like for a putrid pile of poo in a bucket thrown against a wall, because that's what we're getting. That's the formula.
Exactly.
How do you write
exactly
that
what
down
we're
on a
getting.
piece of paper?
I'll check it out, Dwayne. But yeah, because you've just been talking about the ratings, so I thought I'd just get some of the ratings up here. I mean,
I'm so happy that we got a consolidated rating that was lower than Battlefield. Finally, I was very happy about that.
yeah, I mean, I've tried to keep on top of this, and even the BBC, it's like a moving goalpost, because their latest kind of whim is that if you get 4 million consolidated, they're happy. So therefore, I've color coded it like that. Well, you can see the red. No, you're not getting it. Wish World consolidated was 2.86. You're way off. Interstellar Song Contest, which was the big hitter, that was for them this year. It failed. Then you had Lucky Day and Story and Engine. So you know the trajectory is bad. And the other one that I keep mentioning, which I think is so relevant, is since Space Babies, Doctor Who has lost, for overnights, let's start with that, nearly 1.5 million viewers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mentioned Battlefield before, and that was the start of the season. Ratings went up in season 26, right to the end. So
And
it's not an equivalent comparison.
And the other context is that was at a point where the BBC were literally trying to kill the show and choke it out, starve it of funds, do everything, and yet, despite
Put it on
that,
midweek.
Put it on midweek. They were just doing everything they could to just phase this thing out of existence. And now, with every bit of resource they can muster and all the bloody money going into this thing, like it's completely failing. It's like it's unbelievable when you think about it.
And when people say, Brendan, you've got no evidence that it's the woke storylines or the DI agenda, I do. The biggest survey opinion poll done recently, they've never had a big one done on Doctor Who before, but they did do one. 42% of current and former viewers said it had got worse since its relaunch 2 decades ago, with stories increasingly preachy and worthy. Even 1 in 3 current viewers think it got worse. Plot lines over the past 3 years have featured trans characters, da-di-da-di-da. And so, yeah, we'll come to that in a minute to cheer ourselves up. So basically, lads, there is evidence, but it's evidence, that's statistical evidence, proving what we had as a hunch.
Yeah, the water cooler conversations around Doctor Who tell you it's all of the above. It's not. There's so many things wrong with the current era. It's not funny, but I mean, it is it's reached that point where you don't tell people that you're a fan anymore unless you're in a safe space, because the general public look at you like you're a weirdo if you still like this stuff.
Well, yeah. You must have an agenda. You must be part of one of those little sub tribes that people do. You know, what flag have you got? And some of us just actually just want to watch Doctor Who. We don't want to be watching a program that means you're part of something else or part of a crusade or anything. No. I mean, so many missteps. I mean, I look at some episodes and I think there was a glimmer of an idea that you could have worked on, and people like Barry Letts, Verity Lambert, Robert Holmes, decent people who knew Doctor Who in their own DNA would have said, right, okay, we use the same ingredients, but we just restructure it, and that would have made a good story. Lux would have been a great story if it was just tweaked and not have the meta thing at the end. I actually think all that special effects with the Bone Beasts and Reality War could have been a good Doctor Who story. You know, we coped with the Chewits monsters and dinosaurs in Invasion of the Dinosaurs, all right, because they were part of a Doctor Who storyline. It worked, but not trying to just riff off Star Wars. I mean, Susan being next to Poppy is just Return of the Jedi at the end when you've got Anakin Skywalker, Ben Kenobi, and that, isn't it?
I just don't see, like, bringing back these characters that, I mean, there are people that have only grown up on Yoo-Hoo that have never seen any of these characters
Yeah.
in any meaningful way, and then you bring them back in such a half-assed manner. Like, why? There's nothing to hang on to here. I mean, the fact that they did Omega and the Rani so dirty, and they got an amazing Rani there and just completely blew it away. I mean, the Rani, when I saw the shots of the new Rani, that was one of the things that made me go, I wouldn't mind checking that out. But man, Omega just eating her, like, just, oh my God.
Well,
That's the other thing too, was the pronunciation of Omega.
Yeah, he said Omega.
The doctor kept calling him Omega.
Yeah.
Even in Australia, as I grew up, we had the Watchers. I used to call them Omega until I watched Doctor Who, and then it was always Omega from then on. But they couldn't even get the pronunciation of the character right. It's just something as simple as that. That's what I'm not sure if it's been on your streams, Brendan, but it was someone mentioned somewhere that they needed to be an advisor on the show that kept tabs on if they're going to do all this law stuff, then get someone there who knows the law and can correct stupid little things like that, like the pronunciation. Mind you, Shooty probably would have been, so full of himself that he would have said it however he wanted to anyway. And probably maybe that's what happened. I don't know. But it was just one thing that really irritated me as a fan who knows the character. The general public's not going to know that character, but I did. And it irritated me when I heard him say Omega all the time.
Well, and just to remind everybody who's joined us today, and thanks for joining us, once we've kind of got a bit of this toxicity out of the way of where we are now, we will look at Mark of the Rani, Time and the Rani, Three Doctors, how Omega, the Rani and Susan have been treated compared to where they came from. So what Dan was saying, we're going to really look at that. Little things to tidy up, though. We all know RTD, as well as going on about Davros having legs, and there's a reason why. He also went on about the sonic screwdriver. He doesn't want the kids holding it in a certain way because it might look like a weapon, so I've done my jokes about that. So please explain to me how that is not like holding something like a weapon. I mean, he says one thing, and then he forgets what he said the next day. He's like a goldfish.
I've come to the conclusion watching all these Unleashed and just the writing, and if you go back and watch the RTD era one, now it really, like, this stuff really highlights the tropes that he's recycled. When you go back, you can actually see how he's just recycling the same things but doing it so much worse now.
Oh,
but
definitely.
It undermines your rewatch. I used to love his era our first era, and
me too.
when you watch it back now, it's like, oh shit, I can see what he's doing here, and then you're
It's
thinking,
sullied
oh,
forever. Yeah.
yeah, but also it makes you start wondering how much thought did he actually put into it, because it does. I'm finding that more irritating now, is that I
Yeah.
realize that he's put no thought into anything. Like that, I said last year that I'm not interested in Mrs. Flood after the season finale of Empire of Death, because I was pretty much of the view that he put no thought into anything, and exactly what we got this week proved that there was no plan for her at all, and there was no point to her. The whole two
whatsoever.
Ronnies things was a load of crap.
Just ended on a bad two Ronnies joke. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, you almost think, is that why you did the bi-generation, just for that
Yeah.
stupid joke?
Yeah.
I just wanted to show you this for a second, and it's only for a second, but fans out there are furious, and they're fans, and they've got a right to be furious because they know what they should expect. I mean, take your pick here. Loads of questions from this fan. Why did we need 45 minutes in Wishworld when almost none of that carried over? Why is Rose here? Why is Shirley here? Why is Mel here? What was the point of bringing Mel back? Conrad is bad because he's wishing people into, putting people into drudging housewifery. The brave and intrepid Doctor Who must kill himself to bring Poppy the Half-Time Lord back. I mean, I know I have to be careful what I say on YouTube regarding certain words. So basically, he euthanized himself. That's weird, especially considering she didn't need to be saved. Conrad gets off scot-free and becomes a totally normal bloke, in the kitchen. The reason Moffat had to see the reality war was to write Joy to the World. That lady had to open a door. I mean, gosh, he had to watch the episode to think of that. And I'll be honest with you, Disparu was saying this, wasn't he? And his review is, I mean, they are good reviews, but my God, his review of the final was really, really funny, because the lack of even, as you say, Doug, being bothered to apply a few rules here. As Disparu said, quite rightly, when that balcony is falling and the door appears, the balcony's still falling, and yet when you see that door later on, it's in the middle of the sky. So it's almost as if, she reaches out and misses him, and then he dies.
That whole Anita thing just had me. I was thinking of you at the time, Brendan, with the Sandringham Hotel. I thought,
Yes.
mate, you spent a whole year with the guy, and even like your gaydar must be so bad.
Well, it's good.
The fact that she had unrequited love for Shooty, it's like, dude, I'm sorry. That is just embarrassing.
I didn't
He was
know
out
what
every night partying at the gay bar. I don't know how she didn't know.
Yeah, but I know I joked about this gay bar next door to the Sandringham Hotel, but while he was doing plumbing and caretaking during the day, but then she appears and she's pregnant, and I was going, what are we doing here? And of course he's in bed with Belinda, so
Just
it's a funny gay life. I was very confused by this whole episode. I was thinking, where are we going
The whole
with this?
year playing checkers with him in the hotel room, and you wonder why he has never touched you in 12 months.
She was always
I
trying
want
to
to pick up.
Go on.
I want to pick up on the previous message you had up on the screen.
Yeah.
I said, "What is Rose doing there?"
Yes.
And I think that the sole purpose and I actually feel sorry for Yasmin Finney, because the only reason that character was there was to get brought back so that the Doctor could say how horrible Conrad was for not wanting her to exist.
Yes.
And that was an explicit
Yes.
ideological line that was put in there, and that's all that character was in there for. And so I
Exactly.
just don't think that it was not anything to do with the story. It was just to say that line and give that message, which is just one example of so many different things throughout this whole era. And
But there was nothing
it's not fair on the actors to be kind
No.
of used. I feel like they're being used,
Well, it was
Aren't
like
they supposed to be actors? And
Was like-
Yeah.
so much was piled upon so much else, as you've quite rightly said, Dwayne. But that Jodie Whittaker was back in that episode, so you had the 13th Doctor given now, and everyone said Jodie Whittaker was ill-served because she didn't have a really good script. So you get RTD writing your script, and she was saying words like bigliness, and I thought, whoa, you're making your first proper female doctor sound limited with vocab. That's interesting as representation. Your first ever black doctor is gay and is a bit of a diva and basically a letdown with his companions. Rogue is my best example. Honestly, is this really good representation? And if you really are bothered about representation, RTD, and dark times and preaching to us all about how to behave, how come in that Nigerian story you didn't call out Nigeria for their laws against LGBT? Oh, oops. Oops.
Exactly.
Sorry, you are given no right by me anymore, therefore, RTD, to preach to me because you are omitting when it's convenient. Therefore, you are virtue signaling. So yeah, I have problems with it all. And that adds to your trans character, Rose. She never really was in it, apart from for
No,
messages. Star Beast was the
no.
best for the messaging. But I'm always intrigued by what apprenticeship she's on because when she worked at Unit as this 15-year-old who checks on shoplifting in Catford, she suddenly in the finale was an expert on doing the biosync for the transmat. I thought, whoa, that's a step up. What course was that?
It's bizarre though. It still makes me. I know it's a joke, but since when did Unit even bother with shoplifters anyway? Unless they thought they were aliens, it was just so ridiculous. So
Doug,
ridiculous.
the biggest joke is in Britain now, nobody bothers about shoplifting. It's rife. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Yeah.
God.
Why
So,
bother? Yeah.
Yeah, this whole unit crew is there's just no interest there whatsoever
No.
in
No.
following
So
them
lame.
around.
Yeah.
No. Now, and this is the problem with RTD because what he likes goes. I mean, I suppose he's the chief writer, but this from the writer's tale. One of my favourite Doctor moments is the opening of Gridlock, where he lies about Gallifrey having been destroyed. It's a tiny lie. He omits the fact that his home is gone, but for the Doctor, that's seismic. I had nothing interesting in that scene until I discovered that. I found a completely new way of revealing his history, and better still, a tiny piece of narrative sustains the Dr. Martha relationship. If characters keep turning, moving, thinking, shifting, if they aren't fixed, then they can do anything, just like real people. Do you know, lads, when I read that just the other day again, I thought, hold on a minute, screeching of brakes. I always thought, while you get different companions over the years, the Doctor was fixed. The Doctor's was
Same.
static.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's my evidence that RTD is bored with the Doctor, and so you can see implied. No, the Doctor has to change. The Doctor has to be more emotional. No, he doesn't. The Doctor is always above the fray.
no, and that was something
Well,
this afternoon watching Horror Fang Rock for the umpteenth time. I mean, I don't know if it's the fact that it was in the HD high definition on the big screen or something. I was seeing things that I hadn't seen before, but the discipline in the writing and the characterization, and like I've heard them say, these guys say, Classic Who wasn't character driven, and that's just complete crap. I mean, every one of those characters is acting, is motivated by their characters, and everything they do right till the end, until they're all dead, basically they're reacting to everything in line with their characters, not this crap that we've seen this season, which is they just do whatever the plot needs them to do because they need it to happen, even if it's completely stupid.
But and I always thought the whole point of the Doctor, just like certain other heroes in literature or TV or whatever, is you can rely on them because you kind of know what they're going to be like. I always quote Invasion of Time when actually the fourth Doctor in that first episode didn't behave as you expected, and I remember as a kid going, I don't know if I like this. There better be a reason. I don't like this because I wanted the Doctor to be the Doctor. I just want him to get on with it. I want Sarah in trouble and all the other companions in trouble, but I want the Doctor to be Mr. Cool and gets on with it. And so,
can I push back a little bit on that idea, because I think even in Classic Who, the Doctor at times has been shown to change over time. Like, for instance, the first Doctor was a lot more grumpy, crotchety, as Mr. Dix would say in his books at the beginning, and we got to see him over those first 3 years mellow with his experiences on his travels with his human companions. The sixth and seventh Doctors in particular changed a lot during their runs as well, because with the sixth Doctor, he was almost Hartnell-esque when he first started. But when you take a look at an episode like The Mysterious Planet, the relationship between the sixth Doctor and Perry is really mellow and nice, and he's changed a lot during his travels with Perry, and he's a completely different, well, not completely different, but he's changed a lot. He seems to have grown a lot by the end of his tenure. Seventh Doctor was a clown at the start of his run. By the time Survival came, he was the dark, brooding, manipulative Doctor. So to a limited degree, they can change and develop, but it shouldn't be the driving force of the show. It should be an underlying thing that we sort of catch on to throughout their runs.
I would agree with you. You can change and evolve the characters with time, and you can play with them in the context of the situations they're facing. But I think there is a difference between that and what you're describing, which is true. Like, there are definite arcs throughout the classic era of character development through each of the Doctors. But I think what we've seen in recent years is that this episode, the Doctor does this, or in this scene that he does this, and then the next scene he contradicts that. They're just all over the place. It's like the characters just do whatever the plot needs them to do now. And even if like we were all talking about the contradictions in the characters and the positions, and I think I personally just think that's bad writing more than anything, inconsistent values by the writers.
I take Dwayne's point, and I do, but I also cheaply will say, so what Dwayne was really hoping for from season 1-2 arc is that the Doctor settled down with Belinda or with Rogue, and it was all because yes, I agree. Everything you said, all your examples are correct. About
You've got it.
You nearly got it. Oh God! So I'm experimenting.
No, what the problem with this what number is he? The shooty Doctor,
15,
is that he's been brought down on the same level as everyone else, and that's the number one problem. That is the character of the Doctor that never changes, in that he's always slightly above humans and the human companions that he has traveling with him. Even the alien companions, he's got that that sort of universal experience that the other alien companions don't have, because they're a lot younger than him. He's seen a lot more things, so he's always got that. But this Doctor was right back down, and he was almost stupid. He had to get his companions to bail him out all the time. That's why, to me, this series is just something completely different with a Doctor Who sticker just pasted over it. It's not really what we've had since Capaldi.
Because Anita, if she hadn't opened that time hotel door, he was not saved. If Ruby hadn't knocked on his door in Wish World, he was deluded. The Doctor has been, as you're saying, Dwayne, he's not the hero. He's actually pretty naive. And if Unit didn't
and nasty,
exist,
that image you've got up is just awful. How can I've never, like, you get. I was referring to the Sixth Doctor earlier. He had some moments of blow up, but he soon realised what he'd done, and made amends for it. But this is the personality of this Doctor. He's awful, torturing blokes here and telling blokes they're going to die lonely, and before they're the age of 40 or whatever he said. Just a horrible person. I would never want to be around anyone like that. And that's something that you want in a Doctor. You want to be around them. The reason I was attracted to John Pertwee is because I could see myself hanging out with him anytime. I felt he was a safe person to be with, and I would never feel safe with this guy.
No, and he's actually very erratic, unreliable. It's just not what you want as a kid, or actually just somebody to watch. I mean, it's got to be more fun than that. So and of course, he won't listen to anybody who does a criticism, because he parks us conveniently, a bit like Keir Starmer does. If somebody criticizes something, he says you're this or the, and to silence you. It's fascinating when you see that Conrad script in the TARDIS, which again I always say was well directed, great music, well acted. The snag was all the words were horrible, and it was just, when you say somebody else's opinion is a noise, I really have a problem with you being very undemocratic. Who the hell are you? And all the lads I've had on have been saying they were willing Conrad on.
It's because the narrative from the writer's perspective in these shows is almost a modern day puritanical ideology that it's what they're presenting, a position that if you're not on board with what they're saying, you're wrong. And I mean, just some of the things that they've attributed to Conrad makes no sense at all. Like, basically, it sounds like if you're anywhere right of bloody the furthest leftist you can think of, you're basically, an incel person that can't accept people with disabilities. And oh man, I have a real problem with the way he portrays people with disability in this era as well, because man, his whole representation of people with disabilities is someone in a wheelchair, which is just that's a microcosm of the true nature of disability in the world, and which says to me that the very thing you're accusing Conrad of, bloody RTD, is the fact that you don't have a bloody wide understanding of the world that's out there. Your world is myopic, and there is more...
He's admitted that.
Yeah,
he says he writes his world, so his world is very, very small.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
so
tell you now, he's not. Yeah.
So we should have. We apologize to everybody watching us, because we should have done this. Yeah, we should have really, but of course we've got the nostalgia coming, which will cheer us up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, ups and downs of the Time Road to Week. You may have got some of your downs out the way, so I've tried to kind of clear it for a bit more positivity. So the Detox is distinct in this one. We have our ups and downs of the Time Road to Week. So here we go. Okay, so Dwayne, in your Doctor Who world, ups and downs?
In terms of ups, I just wanted to. I've already mentioned it. I managed to watch World Enough in Time and The Doctor Falls today, and I also watched Revenge of the Cybermen. Yeah, with the new special effects. So that was really fun to watch. Some great Doctor Who. Watched that with my kids. They had a day off school today, so we just got some snacks and watched some really good Doctor Who. In terms of downs, well, it's kind of a down, but not really. I posted a slightly controversial video this week, more controversial than I usually do on my channel. I'm usually quite reserved, but I just wanted to post a little video just talking about what I felt the political differences were between pre-2017 and post-2017 Doctor Who. And it amazed me that within, it was only an 11-minute video, but there were people commenting negatively about it, calling me names, telling me my opinion's, useless and whatever, 2 minutes after I posted it. So I don't know where these people live, where they latch on to videos like this and make comments without even watching the content. People were even admitting they haven't watched it and were lecturing me in my comment section without actually hearing what I was saying about it. So I found that interesting. and just a little taste of what someone like you would have to put up with, Brendan. So I empathise with you.
I'm universally liked. No. I'm in denial, of course. I'm a bit like RTD. If you no, I'm not. So, Dan, ups and downs of your week.
Look, I am a little bit pleased that I think the veil has been lifted from this era, and there's a lot of people that out there online that you can just see. There's a whole bunch of people just going, yeah, this era is finally being universally panned for the failure that it is. So I'm just hoping that it gets a rest now until someone with a better plan comes along, because leaving it in the hands of Bad Wolf, I think, is real bad news. In terms of an up, I've just been enjoying some classic, and this isn't going to impact my enjoyment of We've got 60 years of Doctor Who that we can enjoy.
Trouble is, I know, and I'm down to burst your bubble. When you say 60 years of Who, you've got to take 20 of those off. It's like really...
maybe 3, maybe 5.
Yeah,
58. No, but some of it's but not too bad.
No, it's not. I was the same myself with Unicorn and Wasp. Doug, your ups and downs?
My up is reflected behind me in this little backdrop I quickly put together. Your fantastic.
Do you need the room?
Your fantastic program with Disparu, particularly a certain segment. If people haven't watched it, watch the whole thing. But if not, at least watch the short version. It's hilarious. My down, we've spoken about. It's that bloody finale. Less said, the better.
Okay, so we're off and running. People are starting to share their ups and downs. There's mine. I'm not doing another stream about it, but I'm I talked to the press, as you know, straight after episode 8, and I got my boot in. I was furious actually, but I'd scripted it, and the Press Association ran it in Australia, Canada, America, Britain. It was everywhere. It was online because it was a classic syndicated news item, and they got 3 quotes. 3 different people, 2 Doctor Who fans who seemed to like it, and then me. But you can only be truthful, and come on, I couldn't see, what that was all about. So that was a high, because it was an amazing moment, and I got to tell the press that I used to be a teacher. And
damn it.
So they have, look at that, they say a former English teacher. There you go. I'm like Harriet Jones of the sci-fi world.
Were you a teacher, Brendan?
He was, yeah.
I wondered if that was... I'd never heard that before.
I never like to be defined by things, but...
He's gay too. You wouldn't pick it, but he's gay as well.
Yeah, my pronouns are...
What a gay pronoun, though.
Oh, I don't even go there. I
Sweetie pie.
Honey. Yeah.
Honey buns.
So, the jury's out, but I am always trying to be optimistic, and I did eventually see that War Between the Land and the Sea trailer, and for me, it just looked, musically and directing wise, in 1 minute, it looked serious, and I thought, I wish the hell with 16 episodes we'd have done something like that. I have problems, and the big problem is, what the hell is this? So it's an up and down at the same time, and I dare say my optimism might disappear later on, but why are you tinkering with the Sea Devils? Why are we doing this kind of... in some ways, if it's a new creature, go for it. But it's not. It's actually a very well-established, iconic monster. And it's actually the monster that got me to join Doctor Who. This is my launch pad into Doctor Who, the Sea Devils. So please don't tamper with them. And, they're not the same colour. They're not the same... what the hell's going on? So I have major problems with this, lads, when I also have an optimism that they might just take sci-fi seriously at the same time.
If there's one thing that I think Chibnall did well, was sticking to designs of classic monsters. So he did the
That's true.
Sontarans really well. He designed the
Yeah.
Cybermen really well. What he did the Sea Devils properly, even though the story was pretty bad. But the design of the Sea Devils was not changed like the Silurians were a few years before, and I appreciated that about the design elements of that particular era. This is not good. Why change something so much that's so established and humanize them? They're not human. They're reptiles. Let's focus on that. They're sort of making them just like us. And I've heard people say that it's so that there can be an interspecies relationship. And oh man,
Yeah.
please,
So
You know
popular.
that's going to happen.
let's just have a sci-fi action story, eh?
That's a given. That's a given.
So, Paul, thank you. Super chats with Detox. That's very nice of you. I like the well and 73 yards, and that's it.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. 2 stories out of 16, and one of them is a Dr. Light story. Let's remind ourselves. What do you think, lads? From what you heard or saw, nearly every panel I ran last week and the week before, people were saying Millie Gibson was the standout, that she was. It's a shame how she was treated, because a lot of people weren't relating to the Belinda companion, but they really liked it when Ruby got back and actually thought she was the main positive.
That's the weird thing. Yes, you're absolutely right. But then with all this build-up of Belinda, maybe it was the rewrite thing, but for most of that finale, they stuck her in a box, literally forgot about her, and Ruby sort of became the hero, if you like. It was just bizarre. It didn't make any sense at all.
So will you all be looking out? I mean, on my ups and downs of the week, I look out for various things. Will you be trying to find where you can get a viewing of this 20 Years in Wales Unleashed special?
YouTube will have it, I think. I'm going to watch it practically because I was born in Wales. I think it's going to be a bit of a dud, though. I mean, look who they've got on there. No Capaldi, no Matt Smith.
No Eccleston.
Well, that's a
Yeah,
given.
but it's Eccleston. That was my question.
That would be a show worth watching if he was there.
Absolutely.
Exactly, and that's the point. But you need people who aren't. Sorry, the Doctor in that famous scene said, "You're a coward" to Conrad Clark. You could argue, are the people who run Doctor Who now cowards because they won't actually invite on to their celebration of 20 years? I mean, it's not 19 years. There is a year with Chris Eccleston, and he is obviously very integral to actually launching it back. So,
Yep.
do people need to grow, pair? I mean, honestly, come on. Are you in
Maybe.
denial?
It's very brave to attack people like us online and put us down because we're only YouTubers and fans who don't really know anything about anything. But I think it would be it would take a level of courage to get Eccleston on that they don't have.
Oh, and by the way, John Barrowman's not on that list either.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I thought, they haven't. Noel Clark should have been.
But this is what I mean.
I mean, as far as I'm aware, nothing's been substantiated on that front.
How are they going to
And-
skirt over all this? I wonder. I mean, is it going to be a talk fest? Are there going to be clips? I bet you they minimise the Eccleston era. They probably won't mention Noel Clark, and they probably won't even mention Barrowman. It's going to be so one-sided. I mean, I'll watch it, but it's going to be a dud.
I think that's the fickleness of all these teams. It's like, mate, they haven't stuck up for their peers at all, have they? And
No, not at all.
Just cut them loose and hang them out to dry.
Well, but we all know this. I mean, obviously, Sirens of Audio actually interviews these people, and I suppose your intuition, Dwayne, is that people to keep a job have to go along with the life. You have to say whoever is the bee's knees at the moment, and you have to keep in with them if you want a job.
Yeah, yeah. You've got to, I don't know, tiptoe around sometimes.
Yeah.
Man, imagine if Shooties had regenerated into Eccleston, then we'd be talking. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Or what about because there was a beautiful photograph this week. You know,
Oh,
Tom Baker, 91 in his. I mean, to me, because he's in a forest, I'm thinking state of decay. You know, that's what I see there.
Full circle, I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, very true. Yes, yes. So yes, I know I showed these the other day, but of course, you know, this is about the detox, and I only have to see his face, and I only have to see him go shh, and I mean that man, charisma
Bless him.
about.
Bless him.
I'm glad he's got his faculties. You know, none of us know if that's going to happen, but he looks lively. You know, that's brilliant for 91. I wish him well. I really do.
Love you, Tom.
He gave us so much. But of course, one of the things we're here for is to talk about the treatment of Omega, the treatment of the Rani, the treatment of Susan. So, of course, we're going to get on with that. I mean, you know, as if the Rani was going to do plots like that. But we're going to get on with it and really get stuck into the legends in Doctor Who and how it seems that our celestial toy maker called Russell T seems to think he's got a version of what to do. So, you've been hinting at this, lads, with little parts of the discussion. So the Omega or whatever. I mean, I feel as though I've heard Shooty say it so many times now. It's conflicting with what I normally say. It's one of those, you know, it gets into your head.
Yeah.
But you know, just very briefly for those who missed it and were relieved. The effect was a great. It was a great effect. Again feel sorry for the behind the scenes people, but you had this mind you, the skeleton got stuck in the lift shaft. It kind of it had big hips or something. But anyway, there you go. He got a bit stuck. He didn't realise he had a big fat backside. Couldn't get out and had to go all the way back down. But you know, I wasn't seeing Omega at any point here. This doesn't make any sense. And there's Rani being eaten up, bit King Connish. So that's how Omega looks now. And why the Brigadier's daughter got to say that line saying he's a mad, you know, the Brigadier had said he's a mad god. I don't think the Brigadier was poetic. I don't think the Brigadier ever did anything like that. This is all twaddle. But we remember him like this initially and in Arc of Infinity. What do you want to say, lads, about how this was treated when you remember these stories?
Well, if the Brigadier had said, I mean, he was there when Omega was ranting and raving, and I'm not sure if he was in the room when he said the line, "I should have been a god," you know?
Yeah.
That could have been interpreted and taken back to Kate, I guess, in some way. So that could be where the mad god line comes from. But he most definitely, in the Three Doctors, was not a god. He was an unfortunate Gallifreyan who had got stuck in a universe of antimatter, and
Yes.
you know, all his years of solitude had been driven mad. As a
Conveniently
result,
forgotten
he was
by
very,
them. Yeah.
the doctors were sympathetic towards him. They felt sorry for him. They didn't see him as a monster.
No.
They felt sorry for him. They had to defeat him because he was, you know, trying to defeat them.
Yeah.
But, you know, they did feel sorry for him. So, yeah, it was very different to what we get today.
Remember, it was another writer. I think we have to keep saying this, don't we? It's not RTD who invented Omega, but he's certainly the one who's shafting him. It was Bob Baker and Dave Martin who wrote the Three Doctors, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so, in the Three Doctors, they came up with this, this existential crisis for the Time Lords, which was the man who gave them, you know, the ability to travel with that source of energy. And yes, as you've just said, Dwayne, he had a motivation, and actually you could have had sympathy for Omega, that he was left and shafted by his own people, really. And I really did like some of the dialogue that was, you know, number one, classic Doctor Who allows space. and you had little moments when second Doctor and the third Doctor were saying they didn't really like what they were doing. They don't like to trick Omega. It felt a cheat, and you could really feel it. Number one, you could see they were scared of him, when they first met him, and then they didn't want to cheat on him. And I found it a fascinating story, this, and yet to end up, and he had the gel guards and all the rest of it, and he comes back as this bony beast that is kind of incoherent, and all you do is you shut the door on him, basically.
Didn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, Dwayne mentioned it beautifully. Omega. I say Omega, but it's Omega. Was trapped. You say Tomato, but he was trapped in an antimatter world. So what? This was kind of a rip-off of Stranger Things. It was like a version of the Underworld, which had no bearing at all. It was Sutekh all over again. It was in name only.
It was Stranger Things, wasn't it?
It was. And he's been quite open about his influences. It was just stupid and ill-conceived.
And may I say, while it's on screen, because it links with what Paul Roach is saying as an example, when you watch The Three Doctors in 1973, no Disney budget, blah, 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 you didn't need a special effect. I love those gel guards. They are tangible. They are in your face. They are there. You can touch them. They are in the room.
They sound funny.
Yeah. Whereas the snag now is, it just seems to me, Disney budget, and anyway, a bigger budget for Doctor Who, RTD is resorting to CGI too much. And there's a lack of realism. I can applaud the effect, but there's still a lack of realism. They're not in the room. Whereas they were real to you as a kid.
Yeah.
Could it possibly be that the bone beasts were inspired by I saw the Ergon up on the screen before, so that had sort of bony outfit. Is that where the bone beast came from? Perhaps that. I mean, it's probably not mentioned anywhere in the story.
No, it was probably an accident, but that's a possibility. Yeah.
The thing is, when he got them to describe the gift that keeps giving, when Disbrew came on last night and repeated obviously what he'd said on his review, and the bit about them rubbing up each other. So basically, this antimatter nonsense where basically the bone beasts were a bit like Father's Day. Was it the Reapers that there was a tear in time, but the bone beasts were basically, because the two worlds were rubbing up against each other, they had to kind of eat it up. They were basically bottom dwellers, actually, of the pond. Too much exposition.
It's probably a rip-off of something that we haven't seen or watched. It's something RTD's seen.
No doubt.
As Stephen Braddock quietly says, come on, we're allowed to be fans. We've bought the books, we've seen the stuff, we've invested our time. Omega never had a body, let alone a giant, stupid, bony one. And he never had an evil arm. This is the point.
Well, he kind of did in Arc of Infinity. That sort of story carried on a little bit there. He was trying to get corporeal in our universe in that story.
I guess.
And he sort of
but they had a whole science of how they were going to achieve that, though.
Yeah,
it
was well explained. Well, a lot better explained than we got in this.
So
there's no explanation, really.
There's a lot of explanation of lots of things, and then yes, as you say, other omissions completely. Look, Three Doctors. If we go back to Three Doctors, Omega was up to mischief. The Time Lords were drained of power. They need to break the rules of time to get the Three Doctors together. Jump 50 odd years ahead, and there's no Time Lords interfered with this story. So all I can assume is the Time Lords now definitely don't exist. So no future showrunner can bring them back, because they would have interfered with this story Rishworld. If you're going to bring Omega back, they would have interfered. Look at Trial of a Time Lord. One of my favourite moments in Mind Warp was when they froze time. Remember, they just stopped all the action so that everything was timed to perfection. I loved that. That's Time Lord interference when they're not supposed to interfere. I loved it. I always play that back. It is one of my all-time favourite Doctor Who moments when they were playing around with the whole thing. Loved it. So why did they not do it here? And of course, the only conclusion you can come up with is Gallifrey is destroyed, and that means you can never, ever bring them back.
Yeah.
The thing is, you got to ask yourself, why do you want to bring it back? I mean, at the end of the day, the story of Omega kind of played out in the sense that, you know, the character was trying to get corporeal existence in both Arc of Infinity and the Three Doctors. So we've had the same, not the same story, but it is effectively the same premise of Omega trying to come back into our reality. I suppose that's like the whole premise of Freddy Krueger trying to get corporeal existence in our realm. So if you're going to do it, it's kind of like Star Wars and the Death Star. I mean, if you're going to repeat it, you're going to have to do it properly and consider how you're going to do it. And if you don't want to do that story, don't do it. Just there's no point. And yeah, I mean, I love when the Time Lords rock up in the war games and you get the pipe organs and the time slows down and they literally, it's just like, it's so simple, but yet you really do feel that the whole world, the Time Lords are literally imposing their will on the reality there and slowing everything down and taking control of things, and that the Doctor's got no chance of getting away from them.
It's so effective when he's heading for the TARDIS. It's like those dreams you have, isn't it, where you just can't move. It worked so well.
Yeah.
Well, David Hardin here, reminding us from all the way from Toronto. Omega's tragedy was at its highest when the second and third Doctor help him open that helmet, and they have to tell him that there's nothing left of his physical body.
Yeah.
I mean,
How good was that?
well, and it was a difference, because normally I wanted the body horror, and of course in this case it was body missing. It was just it was Invisible Man, but that was it, and you could hear him because they were looking at each other, weren't they? And he didn't know what the issue was, and it was just those moments of going, "Oh my God, he's decayed away." Christopher H. Bidmead was getting excited, thinking, "I'm going to do a story on entropy later on," and all that sort. It was just great. It was a good story. Episodes need to be back RTD, because honestly, there was space, there were lovely moments. We had some fun in the TARDIS, some amazingly great, clever dialogue. And this was my discovery of Patrick Troughton's Doctor. His mirth and his cheek and impishness with Joe Grant with the recorder and playing a tune.
So good.
Ah.
So good.
But when you do a 45-minute wham bam, thank you ma'am, thanks for the Disney blank check, blah blah blah, you miss all in little touches.
Yeah, I love the way the second Doctor cuts the third Doctor's grass with Joe. He's like, Joe, I may call you Joe, mayn't I?
Yeah.
It was such a big deal. I'm old enough to remember it coming out. I was so excited. It was such a big deal, especially that moment when the second Doctor just appears. It was just unbelievably amazing. It just classic television. And
unlike, you see, I'm aware that I have to be consistent here. So his solution to the Wish World and Reality War was a time hotel window and all and all that sort of stuff. In this one, it was a flute. And the flute was planted there for ages. You just got a line now and again saying, "Where is it? Where is it?" So if that's another magic trick, it had been seeded. It had, you'd planted it there, and it was a nice, neat trick, and it made sense to my little thick old brain, which is, that's still not antimatter. That's it.
Very clever, very clever.
And not actually hardly any exposition. It just made, I think, good writing, like Chris Boucher in Robots of Death, when he just shows you two boxes, one further away.
Yeah.
I really like Johnny Burns stuff. I thought he does good Doctor
Who. Yeah. Keep of Traken, Arc of Infinity, I know. And
Warriors of the Deep.
Yeah, because I still enjoy the story.
2 out of 3.
Just thought I'd throw that in there. I like Warriors.
Hey, it wasn't the story asked, but yeah.
And wasn't this fun?
The Merca that was the problem with that one.
But wasn't it fun, the Three Doctors? Because you had the Brigadier in full action mode. I love that line when he opens the unit door and says, "I'm sure that's Chroma."
Yeah.
Oh,
Have you seen that actor in that photo who's just about to make an appearance at a convention somewhere? He's one of the oldest actors out there still from Doctor Who.
What, this
I can't remember his name, but Mr. Ollis. He's about to appear somewhere.
Mr.
Holy
Olive.
crap.
I've been seen around.
It's true.
Good
It's
on
true.
Doesn't look like a young fella there.
No.
Yeah, well, there must be something in the water because you've got Tom Baker himself. Maybe there was something about 70s Doctor Who that's sustaining Farsight. I want the Time Lords back purely because I hate that the showrunners have wiped them out. Right, you write a
No.
starring Farsight because what we need is no exposition. No, we just need a neat trick. I really, but not magic, but please. But I thought Dave the Doctor did it really well, but you can't do it again and again
No.
and again. I think the fastest way is to actually do something that I've never agreed to doing before, which is you need to erase a story. Timeless Children. You need to erase the story as a reality.
Let's just stop looking back, hey? I mean, if it ever does come back, the best way is just don't even mention Gallifrey. No more numbered doctors, no old enemies, no returning companions, no multi-doctor stories. Just a doctor who's cast really well. That's why I was really hoping that they'd pay it off some way by having the doctor kind of turn into the Valeyard, and then if there was another series, we could start with some kind of shades of grey, slightly darker doctor, and just forget about the rest. Or let's just give him amnesia or something. It's just
Yeah.
If I what you'd do if you ever started the series back up and you had that, you put a big space in the timeline similar to what happened between Eccleston and the classic
Yes.
era.
yes.
You could just make out that they're out there and they're actually hiding from him now, and that he's
Yes.
exiled and he's not allowed
Yes.
back.
Yeah.
And that's how I'd if I felt when I'm showrunner and if I bring him
When?
back, that's what I'd do.
I look forward to it.
Well, it's very kind. You can see how things have progressed, lads, can't you? Because we've got a lovely super chat here. Thank you, Lex Kane. Arc to Infinity, or Arc of Infinity, had Frankenstein's monster vibes with Omega. I hate this now. Omega should have ended there. He was wasted in reality. What was it? You see, this is it, lads. What was the point of bringing back a real classic villain from Doctor Who that every Doctor Who fan knows if he's only going to be on TV for 3 minutes? And basically, unlike in the Three Doctors where they feared him and he was all powerful, basically he climbs up some tube, growls a bit, eats the Rani, which I don't understand. Come on, please explain to me. I know I've seen those movies. Doug, you'll be an expert on these. You know those when
But
they
what was the? Yeah, but what was the point? I mean, you're exactly right. Okay, I've been watching a few podcasts, and very, very few New Who fans even know who Omega was.
Yeah, that's
The
my
ones
point.
that do, the ones that do know, don't care, and or like us are totally disappointed with the misuse of it. So I question even why he even bothered with, like you said, Brennan. Why couldn't it have just been a new villain?
Yeah.
Even the Rani, I like the portrayal of Archie, whatever her name was. I thought she had potential to play it, but she could have been anybody. She didn't have to be the Rani. Could have been.
Well, she
anybody.
wasn't the Rani. She didn't act like the Rani.
No, that's what I mean.
was-
It was name only. It was Missy, really, or a version of.
Well, Marine
Like-
Boy 66 is asking you a question, Doug.
Oh, okay.
Still a former fan, are you? Or has he just decided to leave the recent Who's permanently on the naughty step?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, I'll do this in the shortest way possible. After I watched the finale, I was so upset that I was going to just not throw my toys out like Dan was going to, but I was not going to watch Doctor Who for a long period of time. I regained my sanity somewhat. I'm cancelling my subscription to Disney Plus. After we all start running out of things to talk about with this latest era, I don't ever want to even talk about Shooty's era ever again. It didn't exist as far as I'm concerned. But Doctor Who is literally part of my life. I've watched it since the age of 6. So they're not getting rid of me that easy.
Okay,
I hope
and
that answers it.
just before Dan comes in, John Yulden and me were talking about this the other day, and it's a good point to make now, which John disagrees with me, but I get his rationale, actually. We do need the Gallifrey and the Time Lords. We need the race above the Doctor to keep him in check. I agree with that. I've just listed Mind Warp to prove it, really. But yeah, but equally, I'm really dreading a possible new showrunner having to explain it all. That's the problem. But maybe
I don't think they. I don't agree with John. I think yes and no, but let's not even. Let's approach a new series as if nobody's ever heard of the show, because there's so much catch up for people to do if they are coming into it new. Let's just start again and make him a mysterious traveller, and then just drip feed information as we go along. And if people are interested, by the end of maybe the first series, we'll know just enough. But it's Doctor Who ? Let's not give too much backstory.
Yeah,
That's my
Can I
10
jump
cents
on?
worth anyway.
Can
Go
I
on,
just
Dwayne.
jump on the point John Yulden made about a respectful producer, and another comment that I think Divining Dragon said, that we need a writer's room.
Yeah.
I don't agree fully with the fact that we need a writer's room. A while back, I had Gary Russell on my podcast, and we were talking about the television series, and I think I even titled that episode of the podcast, I want Chris Chibnall's job, because that's what Gary Russell said. He wants his job. And I said,
Right.
oh, what would you do? Would you be the lead writer? He says, no, I wouldn't. I would be the showrunner, and I would find writers to, just like it was done previously.
Originally,
Because,
yes.
you know, that's the way to do it. The showrunner should not be the head writer. They should be
No.
the person who oversees the show, as the title suggests. But
Agreed.
this showrunner position, being the person who writes the bulk of everything too, I think, you know, we've been writing about gods, but I think perhaps he's got a bit of a god complex himself when it comes to
no doubt whatsoever.
comes to this show, that he can do absolutely no wrong, which is incorrect. I mean, he's got his followers. He's certainly got his followers that say he cannot do any wrong.
They pleasure themselves too, apparently, over it. So they're such big.
Oh, is that
followers.
right, Doug?
Yeah, look behind
Doug,
But I think that would be a good idea. A showrunner who acts like the old producers did and gets all their talented people, because, you know, at Big Finish, I go on about them. They have very talented writers in there who can write good Doctor. Of course, there's so much Big Finish out there. Of course, they occasionally do stuff that's, you know, virtue signaling and irritating. But there is so much good stuff there that they could easily pull some decent Doctor Who / sci-fi writers to put a good story together. And that's what a showrunner needs to do, get these people together.
I agree.
Well, we've just looked at a bit of Omega, mostly in the Three Doctors, but Arc of Infinity as well. Arc of Infinity is like a game of two halves for me. I like it when it was set on Gallifrey a little bit more, and was a bit more mystery. When it started to be, he was sitting in what looked like another TARDIS. Again, please explain. And he's bubbling away. He looked just a bit hot under the collar, you know. And I don't know. The Arc of Infinity was too far for me on this one, but I liked the villainy and the treachery on Gallifrey from Heading. I loved all that, and the threat of killing the Doctor, you know, all that stuff. So it was kind of nearly there, but it wasn't quite Three Doctors. However, the other thing we wanted to talk about today, and of course, bit of action.
but sorry, can I just say, but as a season opener, how much better is it than Space Babies?
Anything's better than Space Babies.
Yeah. Well, the gel guards were more scary than the bogeyman, I tell you. So the impact of the Rani, he brought the Rani back. I'd not asked for her to come back, but he said Shooty wanted her back.
Oh, that's a lie, I think. I don't think Shooty even knew who she was.
Yeah. Lex Kane, you've been very generous today. We need to go back to roots, to 25 to 30-minute episodes. 4-parters or 6-parters, 18 to 26 episodes, make the Doctor alien again. I don't disagree with one thing there. That's exactly what needs to be done.
Absolutely.
And I think because that's what we should be doing, Lex, it's not going to happen, because these people in charge of TV now like to prove they've got legacy, and they certainly don't want to follow somebody else's trend. They're too busy making their own mark. And the mark of the Rani, that was almost a segue. So basically, I'll show you again for those who didn't see it, but there's Rani being... Well, the thing is, there's two Rani there. Mrs. Flood stares at it and just uses a time ring and disappears. And the other Rani's been...
Dress.
Yeah? We had a bi-generation, which nobody asked for. It was very underwhelming as well. Having seen one that was bad enough, but to see two, I just thought, oh, really?
I hope that's the end of it. No more, please.
Yeah. And yet, she was, as you've been saying, Dan, she seemed promising. Um, Obviously, Mrs. Flood just collapsed in a heap and was this pathetic creature in the end. So she
Yeah,
was interesting, Archie Punjabi. But
that's it, Punjabi. Yeah.
yeah, but and she was given lines to be boo hiss nasty piece of work, um but so much of it didn't make sense. Exposition, I mean, God, if you want to look at the exposition, what the hell was the genetic explosion? That sounds like something that should be kept in the bedroom. I said, what?
That's what Doug's got behind him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're on a promise tonight, we're going to have a genetic explosion, baby. I mean, honestly,
Oh god, that was cringe. That
he
was so
can't,
bad.
he can't stop himself. Genetic explosion. Um, how can you have a genetic explosion and then we're sterile and it
Yeah.
his accent's funny as well. I mean, look, everyone, hello, listen to me. But when he says infertile and when he says TARDIS, he has a kind of strange wobble in it that's always TARDIS and infertile. I don't know, I can't do it. But what's the point of two good actresses and you shaft them both? They both
know.
kind of disappear in
Yeah.
the finale at about 30 minutes.
We guessed
Yeah.
it.
See the
didn't we?
bracelet. There was a reference to the bracelet being a time ring. Now in Mark of the Rani and Time and the Rani, she had a bracelet, but it had all chemical stuff in it that she was
Yeah, true.
was affecting people with. So it was never a time ring. Someone's looked at that bracelet and gone, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to turn that into something completely new."
Yeah.
Doesn't match what was in those earlier serials.
Nah, not at all. And of course, did you like her Sonic?
No.
Yeah, I'd happily call her mistress.
What
Oh,
does
here
it
we
look
go.
like again, Brendan? What does the Sonic look like again? You mentioned it in a previous show.
Did I? I can't remember now.
yeah,
I'm streamed out.
Oh.
I can't remember.
Well, somebody mentioned it looked a little bit like a certain piece of female anatomy, but I can't pick it.
All right. I don't think. Well, let's get to lovely Mark of the Rani. And you know what? Somebody said the other day, they said, if you see the Rani for the first time in Wish World and Reality War and were intrigued, this is a bad idea by RTD because you then go and find the original and go, oh, she was nothing like it. You'd be pleasantly surprised, but then you'd be really critical of what you've just seen. Because I think Rani seemed to do very well in this historical setting. I preferred this story to Tam and the Rani myself.
Yeah, me too.
And the exposition wasn't out of control. I mean, I like Pip and Jane Baker, but the Time and the Rani, I felt, what were the strange matter, collecting, I don't know, and I don't know, there was something about it that made no sense to me and was a little bit too contrived. Whereas this, you're just getting something out of their brain. It worked.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Made
I
sense.
prefer
Made
that.
sense.
You know what I really loved about this story though is Anthony Ainley rocking up and just being the whole time.
Yeah.
He's just rocking around, just smiling at himself, playing Scarecrow. Like, what's he doing there? He's just there to mess with the doctor. I think.
He's
Wasn't he
just
wor-
lurking.
Wasn't he Wurzel Gummidge at one point? Because near early on, I think he's a scarecrow, isn't he?
Yeah, he starts off as a Scarecrow. So so these two are running around just playing dress ups, basically, the Master and the Rani.
Oh, there's the brothel TARDIS again.
But you see, this is what I mean. I thought we were going to see her TARDIS. I thought, oh, Rani, she's famous for seeing that TARDIS. And I mean, the other thing, Dwayne, is when you were trying to work out why we saw the bone beasts, I wasn't thinking of the Ergon. I was thinking of these little dinosaurs in jars.
I had that same thought.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah,
Great
whatever.
TARDIS set.
Yeah, it's bit Dalek. I'm not sure I would have added that the extra little.
She's very concerned about having etheric beings that needs to locate.
You might have to say that again, Dan. It blurred then.
She's put etheric beam locators all around her console.
Yes, she has, and she looks good. I mean, I think we got her before she went in the Colbys. I'm trying to think. I think then she'd been in the Colbys and she came back for Time of the
That's
Rani.
exactly what happened. Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
what happened. Yeah.
So because I think before this she'd been in what we call Triangle, where she was on that ferry in the North Sea wearing the bikini. Yeah, hello. But I loved her. She'd worked with Colin Baker before, famously in The Brothers, and I just loved their repartee. I just liked it. I loved the fact that she was irritated by the Master and the Doctor, world domination, their silly games and their silly rivalry. I liked that. Instead, she was given lines in Reality One Wish World, which were all about too much exposition. It was all meta again.
The other thing that's so not Rani about Wishworld and Reality War is that in Mark of the Rani, she makes a point of saying that to the Master, you two, you're always overcomplicating everything. It's your plans are always unnecessarily overcomplicated, and that's why they always fail, kind of thing. And Reality War and Wishworld are exactly that. It's just this convoluted scheme that just ends in complete failure before you've even. It's like, I'm just going to open this tomb and let Omega out, and I'm going to recreate the Time Lords, and I've got no idea what's going to happen. And then I get eaten.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
so dumb. It's right up there with the Master in Terror of the Autons, where he brings the nesting consciousness in, and the Doctor says, they're going to betray you, and he goes, oh shit, you're right.
Didn't she have it in for the Time Lords anyway, because they rejected her
Yeah.
scientific
Yeah.
experiments?
That's
Yeah.
So
it.
why
yeah.
would she want to bring them back?
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's nothing that makes any sense on any
None
of this.
whatsoever. None
Well, I was going to
whatsoever.
give Dan a free hit here because he always jokes about apparently he thinks I kind of liked Adric. Well, the truth is no, but I did. I'm
The more
sorry.
you deny it, the more we believe it.
It was this one. It was this character that.
Oh,
yeah.
he's a handsome young man, isn't he?
Yeah, I really like playback of Mark of the Rani. So yes, that one.
Did you like
But
it when
then
he turned into a tree?
Well, there he is. There
He got wood then.
Yeah, fondling Perry. There
Look
he is.
behind me. That's what's going on. Look behind me. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, look. Oh, that was the look. Classic Who. Like I said, CGI too much sometimes nowadays. Oh, this was just slightly unfortunate, wasn't it, with the tree? That was
That tree's
It's the
taking
one
advantage of
cringy thing
Perry.
in this story that gets me every time. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
that was a little shame, but
Didn't work.
yeah,
Nice
The
try.
tree's grabbing her.
it kind of took me out of the story for a moment. I did, and Lex has been very nice and generous. Thank you. Kate O'Mara's TARDIS is fantastic. She was cool. Would you be saying that now, Lex, about what you saw with the Rani now? I could see what they were trying to do with Archie Panjabi's costume a little bit, Kate O'Mara-ish, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just being contrary, but it's like,
I think she looked great,
Yeah, she
and
did.
I think she delivered her lines well, but they just weren't very good lines.
No.
Committed to the part, for what she was
totally.
given.
She's talented, but it couldn't save it.
But I don't know. Am I sounding like a dinosaur when I see the sets for Mark of the Rani? And I know some of it was actually at Ironbridge, but I mean the actual sets. And Doctor Who was always good at doing historicals anyway. But historicals with a real alien quality to it. I didn't want to get bogged down in historicals.
No.
I kind of like this light touch historical.
It's a nice balance. Looks great.
And I just think, it was good enough. You mentioned the Luddites. You had a little bit of that, a touch of history. It made kind of sense.
Stevenson had Stevenson there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, what did we get? We got the Rani saying, I want to bring back Omega because I want to kind of basically make new Time Lords
Makes
because
no
I want...
sense.
Whereas this made sense. I'm just trying to get this drug, this chemical. She didn't give a damn about Earth. She was using the chemical for elsewhere, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she wasn't trying to destroy everything. She was just trying to get in, get her stuff, and get out.
Yeah. And just like the Three Doctors and Arc of Infinity, we have little moments because it wasn't racing to just throw or shout exposition at us. You had lovely little touches. That little moment when the Sixth Doctor, there's a bit when he says Perry, Perry, and then suddenly Perry go back, and remembering to strap him down to that little thing that he had to steer. And I don't know, just little moments, and I just think
Did you
when
like
you
that bit, Brendan?
Sorry.
Did you like that bit where he got strapped down to the table?
Here
He
we
loves
go, here
he
we
loves a
go.
good strapping down. We've talked about that.
I love all this kind of classic. Here you go.
Yeah, I love
Brian,
the classics.
classic who broke TV horror rules many times, says Brian.
True.
Killing dogs off screen, yeah, Mark of the Rani. Blood packs for gunshots and eyes open deaths. Put some real fear back into Doctor Who, please. I agree.
Agreed.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
The kids need something. Well, the thing is, and you can speak better as parents, but the kids won't just watch something where it amounts to nothing. It's bad enough trying to get kids to watch TV, but why would they ever watch Doctor Who now? Because there's no jeopardy. There's always a get out. It's too preachy, and it's a bit naff. They do want to be taken somewhere. There's still like escapism, and there's still like jeopardy, and there's still like a thrill. And can I stay a bit up later, Dad? Come on, we all wanted that, didn't we? The dare of staying up a little bit later. And as Dwayne has said, are the lads in bed happily sleeping now, or have they got nightmares after watching World Enough and Time? And actually,
Hopefully, nightmares.
yeah. But yeah, we all need a little bit of that.
I had them. Why shouldn't they?
Exactly.
Mrs. Flood would have been better as a future projection of the Rani. It would have explained why she was happy to hang around as the old woman next door. Yeah, I know.
I noticed you're sticking with Mark of the Rani here, Brendan.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll keep pressing. Then you're forcing me. You're forcing me to press a few buttons. As you know, I love to find.
I'm in a vast minority, but I do really enjoy Time in the Rani myself, for various reasons, various nostalgic reasons. I enjoy.
Well, I'm just hanging on this moment for a second. If only I could hypnotize him. So, go on then. Go on. I'll give you a free hit then. There's your Time in the Rani.
Yay! There they are. So there's the red outfit that is a little bit similar to Archie's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the bracelet on her wrist there, that's obviously not a time ring.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a bit Blake 7 actually.
It is.
And of course, I love these rehearsal shots. I mean, there she is, with a bit Joe Grant Three Doctors there actually, with that little fur coat. And the very, very famous moment. Leave the man, it's the girl. No, leave the girl. I'm the wrong way around. But yes. How can I balls up a iconic mind you, there you go. I'm sorry. Yes, that wig.
Harpo.
Yeah, very much.
But come on then, Dan, where do you stand on this story?
No, look, similar to Brendan, Dwayne, I actually like this story. Yeah, I know. Look, there's some really good effects in it too. It's yeah, and I don't think yeah, the regeneration stuff's a bit rough, but you can feel that they're desperately trying to, get going pretty quickly in this story. But yeah, it's a solid script. It's a solid story. Yeah, I don't know why it gets so much sort of derision, to be honest. I just feel that possibly at the time there were too many people that were really, really sensitive after the coming off the hiatus and all that, and the trial of a Time Lord. But I mean, what's wrong with it? I don't see what the problem with this story is.
Well, I'll hold back.
No,
Actually,
don't hold back.
No, tell us, Brendan.
Tell
I will.
us. I'll
Oh,
probably
God.
agree with you. So tell
Well,
us.
first of all, when we talk about a darker Doctor, which Cartmel eventually got into play, when you see rehearsal shots of Sylvester McCoy with his glasses on, I actually think they missed a trick. I think because I think at the very beginning it was establishing him, and he was a bit too slapstick, and I think the glasses would have actually blooming helped. But what? Well, hello. Lack of incidental music sometimes. The stage, I could hear the stage. I could hear the props. This moment could have been done better. It was too slapstick. I know what Sylvester was trying to do, bless him, and he was playing to his skill set, which is I understand completely. It's just I think the echoes in the studio and that needed to be kind of softened and hidden by maybe some music. That would have helped. It just felt so stagey. I think this, I don't know, it might have looked like a good idea on paper, but having having the Rani impersonate Mel when Mel was in her squeaky phase, I don't know. I don't know if I liked Kate O'Mara, this Hollywood actress, going, Doctor. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. That grated with me.
Yeah,
And
that was pretty rough, and it did go on for a while.
It did, like 2 episodes, I think. But and I tell you what, good on Bonnie Landford for having a sense of humour, because I tell you what, it was a hell of a brutal impersonation.
Yeah, they weren't nice.
No, Doctor. I mean,
But
it's
those
really,
those bubble traps special effects
Yeah.
were pretty sensational
yes,
for the time. I think
Even
one of the best
today.
special effects for that entire, era.
yes, I agree. I always will say that was a phenomenal idea by Pip and Jane Baker, and it was really well executed.
Andrew Morgan and his team did a good job.
They really did. That was standout.
Only let down by those crappy killer bees.
Yeah, I mean the model effects are great. I mean all that sort of stuff was really top notch. I can't knock it, but yeah, he's the killer bees bit. Where they're in the city, so to speak. Yeah,
Don't get me wrong, the concept of killer bees is cool. Like I thought it was really good, but yeah,
it was a bit
just-
BBC software, wasn't it? It was a bit.
Yeah.
The new version on the Blu-ray, particularly the regeneration at the beginning, is done really well. So that's
Oh, good. Good.
that's worth it. If you haven't seen that, it's really good. Watch the new regeneration effect. It's good.
Well, Stephanie Barrett, I think she's in Tassie. Remind me if you are Stephanie. Stephanie
She
Barrett.
is. Stephanie is Tasmanian. Yep.
Yeah. Pantomime acting, particularly from Sylvester, and simple scripts designed for very young kids, only turned me off immediately. Gosh, Stephanie, do you know what? With that critique, which sounds a bit like mine, you might like the new era of Doctor Who. Pantomime acting, written for kids. In fact, I
That's
recommend.
that's exactly what I thought. I'm with you, Brendan. It's Dwayne is right. Nostalgia has a lot to do with it, and in my case, this story left no impact on me whatsoever, and I can't explain why. In hindsight, I can see its strengths, but when it was first aired, I just thought, "Oh my God, what are they doing?"
Well, probably the reason Dwayne and I liked it because we were kids at the time.
Exactly.
Well,
I was a young adult.
I was
Yeah.
probably the right age for the.
Exactly, and that's
for the
exactly what
target.
it is. It's nostalgia. I was a
I'm
cynical
still
young
here.
adult, and I thought it was shit, if I'm honest. But in hindsight, I can see its strengths now. But at the time, I thought it was absolute. I thought then what we're talking about now with this finale, it was like history repeating. But then looking at that, no, that's what I don't think that now. But I remember watching it and having the same emotions that we're going through now. But on the plus side, look what it became eventually. So maybe it'll go full circle and get better. Who knows?
And you know, we were showing the gel guards earlier, and then you look at the tetraps, and the tetraps are really good, really. I mean, they really are.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Great,
Yeah. There's
great
lots of
design.
positives.
And like Stephanie said, if it was made too much for kids, there's a big difference between made for kids back then and made for kids now as a
Yeah.
totally
Exactly.
different thing.
Exactly.
Well, Jim Hillis, hello, welcome Northern Ireland. Time in the Rani was a bad start to a good era. It is
Yeah.
one of those. I think the truth is it's Marmite. Some love it, and some almost hate
And that's
it.
totally fair. It's like Dan said, it depends how old you were, what you remember about it, all the nostalgia connected with it. It's definitely Marmite.
Now it's interesting because this got me. I mean, I won't bore you, but just behind me over there, I've got all these files. I found them again from the loft, and when I was writing Doctor Who scripts, like we all were, and I loved the Colin Baker and the Seventh Doctor doing misquotes of literature. The Sixth Doctor quoted literature, and then the Seventh Doctor misquoted literature. I kind of was into all that. I don't know why, and I was putting it into my stupid scripts. I've got loads of examples.
It's probably
Isn't
because
it
you're an
weird?
English teacher.
Well, I wasn't. Yeah, yeah. Don't you know?
Maybe that's why you became an English teacher, because of this.
Yeah. Yeah, it influenced you.
Do you know what the truth was? I was going to be a political journalist, and then it was Australia's fault I didn't get a job because I did a lovely year in Australia, and then when I got back there was a recession, so it's all your fault. No, and then and
It's
then
all those boys on Bondi Beach.
and then I ended up a tax officer, and I hated it. And then a friend of mine said, "Why don't you be an English teacher?" And actually, I hadn't really thought about it. So I fell into it. Ooh.
And look
So,
where you are
Brendan,
now.
were you an English teacher?
Oh, thanks for asking. Gives me a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that before.
Oh no, it's me and Bill Potts are up there with predictability. Or Harriet Jones.
Brendan just did he just taught his classes like all the target novels of Doctor Who.
Hey, there will have been a lesson when Doctor Who was quoted. Don't you worry. As
Today's
there's
lesson is called Flight into Danger.
I did do a lesson on regeneration. I do remember that. Yes. Right.
Oh.
The Susan cameo, just in case, just as we wrap up. So we're talking about the butchery of legends and all the rest of it. We've seen maybe the happy moment that she didn't come back because of the plot. Because as some people were saying when we did that mention earlier, does that mean that if Susan is his granddaughter and was with Poppy, who's her mother, is Poppy the woman you saw in The End of Time, that woman who was hovering?
I don't know.
Guess what? RTD can pound sand because I don't give a shit what he thinks. Susan's William Hartnell's granddaughter, and he can suck it.
What is it about Doctor Who though? It's now 60 odd years old, and do you know what? They oh gosh, we'll bring the Rani back. Oh gosh, we'll bring Omega back. Oh gosh, we'll bring the Daleks back. And they've had somebody in their face for 60 odd years, and they've not bothered really. The Five Doctors was a ridiculous cameo for Susan, actually. And Peter Davison, although he wasn't given any real lines to actually acknowledge it, he tried to act with his body, didn't he, in his face by saying, "Oh my, it's Susan." But he was given no lines to acknowledge it. But Caroline Ford is still thankfully around and about, and actually Sirens of Audio, you've talked to her, and she's coming over, isn't she?
Yeah. Oh, that's a bit
is.
sexy. Oh, look at that.
There you go.
October she'll be with us in Sydney and in Melbourne.
Well, there's your promotion shots. I've saved you time. There's your promotion shot.
Thank you.
So she's alive and well, as you can hear, and you think, for God's sake, why couldn't you have come up with? You see, RTD clearly, by writing her out of the finale, was only going to do a Five Doctors cameo, and this is too many times, and Terrence Dicks I don't blame because he was trying to trying to do an awful lot with the Five Doctors. That was
He did.
hard.
He did really well. Yeah.
But the snag is Susan doesn't deserve as a character, and neither would Caroline Ford really, to be put in this predicament of just appearing for a second. I mean, write a whole story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, can I just say, for example,
it's a shame. It's quite disrespectful. I think
it's very disrespectful.
How she's been treated. Like I said before, I think if anyone was going to be the last face in Doctor Who, if this was the last Doctor Who episode ever, it should have been her.
The only positive
Somehow.
is that she genuinely did seem to be happy to be back. So from her point of view, I'm very happy for her. But yeah, it was a misused opportunity, and it's a little bit sad.
and let's be frank here, when RTD was in his first era, he got somebody to write a story called School Reunion because he wanted a eulogy, really, to Sarah Jane Smith and Liz Sladen. Fine. But every showrunner has ballsed up this.
Yeah.
And you think, really?
Yeah.
So I don't know if Dan's coming back, Wi-Fi and all that. Oh, here he is, just so we can actually get him back on. Where did you go in your time, Eddie?
Number twos?
Yes, Barusa Brendan got you back. Well, lads, it's been a month, but we managed to scramble that together. I don't think I've got any brain power left. I don't think I really want to sit in a study ever again, for a while at least.
No.
But you know what? Tomorrow I am doing a kind of a shorter version of Who Night, everybody, when we will review 20 Years in Wales Unleashed. So join us tomorrow night.
Yeah, have a look at that.
But Joanne, obviously, Sirens of Audio, you're up to mischief. What are you up to?
Yeah, I've just dropped an episode a couple of hours ago featuring an interview with the First Doctor, Stephen Noonan, and producer
lovely.
Dominic G. Martin. Some people might know Dominic as the Purple Doctor in the fan made productions a few years back. He's now producing for Big Finish, so I've dropped an episode with him. We had an interesting video put out a week or two back on rare Doctor Who collectibles. We were talking a bit about some of the vinyls that were out there, but Aaron, who was on, has a collectible store, and
that was excellent.
He gets notified of deceased estates from time to time, and he's come across one place where this guy had been recording stuff off the television obsessively since about 1969. So
Fantastic.
they had got there just a little bit too late. So there was potential for Doctor Who episodes being recovered that had been recorded off Australian television, but as yet they haven't found any. But the search is still continuing. So you never know what might happen there. So that episode was good too. We also had Josh Snares on. If anyone knows who Josh Snares is, he's done. He's one of your fellow Adelaideans.
Yeah, it was a great episode too. By the way, it's I love Josh.
Yeah, so if you wanted to get to know Josh a little bit, we've got a recent episode on him as well. So keeping busy over at Sirens.
That's good. That's good. And
Thanks,
Doug,
Brendan.
what are you up to, Doug, with your Man from Uncle and all the rest of it?
Okay, well, Boomer Doug, I did a short video venting my feelings about the finale because I didn't appear on Who Night. I done a video on The Italian Job, the original one, which is a brilliant movie. And yeah, the Man from Uncle is chugging along nicely, thank you. Every Friday I do a review of a random episode that I just happen to like, and it's going very well.
And Dan, you're dying to do. I know you're in the middle of writing, aren't you? A Peladon trilogy.
Oh, really? I look forward to that.
Yes.
I can't wait.
I've decided third time lucky we'll make it interesting. Yeah. No, you'll find me out trolling people's chats, and if we do any more detoxes, I'll be back. And I saw a few people saying that they were worried after seeing the video you and I did, Brendan, that I was never going to come back.
Yeah.
and
I
stuff,
I
so-
actually thought that. I thought you were going, mate. I thought you had it so badly you were just giving us all the shaft. So
Well,
good to see you
Wow.
back.
And what was true was, well, actually, we're actually leaving now. That was, but anyway, thank
Happening
you. That was,
regardless.
yeah, that was a detox hour by times 2, as Chris Chatfield is saying. You're still talking, but he's joking. He's joking.
It's
Right,
never an hour. That's the joke.
never. Well, not after that finale. So thanks, lads, and I know we'll do it again. But thanks and good to see you back. Bye for now.
Good to be back. Bye. See you.
Bye bye.
Love you.